Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 173. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. Google's trusted SEO community, as of today, 25,130 members. With us tonight we have David Rozam. David, 32 years a copywriter, 12 years in SEO. David can be found in the lower part of England.
England's
Okay.
underbelly.
And you can find David at writingforseo.org. Edwin Jonk is CEO of IDEST in the Netherlands, IDESTHOST.nl. Edwin is an SEO and a web host. Masataki Wasa is CEO of Wasa Web Corporation. He runs a website in the UK. It's called wasaweb.net. Masataki is also a Google top contributor on the AdSense and also the Google Plus Help community. Siraj Gadagay, I'm sorry, Siraj, I should have got prepared. I do know you used to work for Yahoo. I do know that you answer a lot of questions in our community through the week, and brilliant answers. Thank you for that. And you work... No, I can't think of it. I'm sorry. Now it's like me. Put it in the chat and I'll read it out. And Rankuno Interactive Technologies. That would be, Rankuno, I see, it's a play on words, rank number 1. Tim Capper is a conversion rate optimization specialist and proud to call himself an SEO. You'll find Tim in Corby in the frozen wastelands of the north of England. Tim is also a top contributor on the Google My Business community. All right, our first question tonight is from Paul Ricketts. Paul asks a question on redirect automation. He says, not sure if this is an SEO question. Consider a .com site with approximately 1,000 pages. Would a redirect to a .co.uk have to be done one page at a time, or could one redirect do the job? If it's one at a time, surely that can be automated. Thank you for your consideration, guys. Well, I can jump on this. You would use a regular expression, Paul, or a set of regular expressions to do it. Yes, it's much better to do it automated. It wouldn't kill you if automation is too hard. It wouldn't kill you. It'd still be, your website would still be just as fast if you put in 1,000 one-page redirects. You'd have a very large htaccess file, but it would certainly work. Yeah, always easier if you. I mean, regular expressions, they're very easy to read, but very hard to write. But yeah, it's something that you know, that should be your aspiration. I see Siraj Gadagay, who's on our panel tonight, wrote a good answer on the Google Plus SEO Questions community. Siraj said that if it's just a domain change and no changes in the URL structure of the websites, then yes, it would be just domain level redirection. Besides, you should also use the site move tool in the Webmaster's account on the Google Search Console to let Google and Bing know about the change. I'm sure Siraj meant to say that for Bing, you need to use the Bing Webmaster tool. Anybody else on this one? I'm not charging by the word, guys. So, you know, you can. All right. Let's move on to the next. I'm not sure if I tweeted that. I'll try it again. Next one is from Pawan Power. Best practices for getting good quality links in 2016. Pawan said, what are some best practices for getting links? Another great answer in the, you can see it on your screen and also read it in the SEO Questions community on Google+. Another great answer from Siraj Gadagay.
Yeah, Siraj, he knocks the ball out of the park there. Brand building or link earning. You could also look at it. Provide some really great stuff, whether it be content, product, that people just simply can't not share. And there are your links. You know, ranking in Google is basically, the long and short of it is, you know, dependent on your product. You could have a bucket of sand and, you know, have the highest, massive, biggest marketing budget in the world, and, you know, that bucket of sand, because it's just blah, you know, nobody's going to link to it. I mean, they might link to it out of a laugh and sympathy, but in terms of what I'm trying to say is, you know, your success is dependent on how you present your site and obviously your product, or your what you, doesn't necessarily have to be a product, but it could be a service or a, you know, something to that effect. If the site is crap, the messaging's crap. If the product's overpriced, it's really cheap, it breaks, it's just diabolical, it blows up. If people can't get a refund, if people can't get a, you know, if it's got no purpose or benefit in life, then look, no matter what you do, you know, you're always going to be looking at it like link building, because basically nobody's going to, you know, you're literally going to have to twist and bribe people to get a link. But if you create a fantastic user experience with a good product or service, you know, and you're going to earn your links. Of course, you know, you need to put effort into it. I'm not saying just create a YouTube video and you're going to get links. I'm saying that I'm talking it's consistent effort of marketing it, trying to improve your content or your service or your product day in, day out. And that is how you're going to win, mate.
I liked Powen's question. I mean, from the outset, he's asked, you know, what are some best practices for getting good quality links? So he knows what's what.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing out there is just create something freaking awesome. That's somewhat, you know, you need to look for an angle, something that's got, you know, that no one else is doing just at that minute, or maybe they have done, but you guys can do it better. You can push it out better, and you can get a bit more traction. You need to find what resonates with your consumer, what your particular target market is, and you need to find out what resonates with them. When you find out what resonates with them, you can create something tailor-made for them that they will be linking to. Now, of course, some of the other best things is journalists, reaching out to journalists. Now, a lot of people reach out to blogs, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all wrong with that. You know, I'm talking good quality ones. Reach out to blogs, get published, get the site or the business or yourself known as an authority in the market. Definitely nothing wrong with that. But far too many people are ignoring actual journalists. The ones that sit in a desk that still publish written content in newspapers, magazines, and things like that, because that finds its way into the online content, right? So if you build a relationship with the journalists in that particular genre and field, and you schmooze them a little bit, and you find what they like to publish and what kind of things that they're looking at, or what particular angles, and you build a relationship with them and you get stuff published. I mean, that is one of the more powerful kind of and effective links on the market, especially in the travel industry, is your news, like your massive news publications, weekend travel things. Yeah, I mean, there's a load of things. We could talk for hours on end about how to, where to go and get links and find links and, create things. But at the end of the day, it's still about the site and the product.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, and sometimes it will be just basically utilizing the stuff that you have. For example, I worked with a client. They're a beauty school, and they also provide salon services. So what they did was they reached out to different high schools and colleges in their area, and they said that if your students come to our salon, we will provide some sort of discounts to them. And what happened was after that, when they reached out to them, they got a link from the EDU website, and they also gave some sort of discounts to their students. So it's like a win-win situation for for our client and for the students also. So sometimes thinking like that can also help you to get the links. So it depends now how you wanna think and how you wanna market your product.
Thank you, Siraj.
I mean, that's brilliant. Especially if you're in a city with a student population. We've got a couple of clients in Leeds and things like that. Massive student populations. Students can be very, very powerful. In that instance, also, I mean, the clients of yours, Shiraz, could also, let's think out of the box here, leverage social media. Students, kids love their iPhones, things like that. Could they create a social media wall in the salons which are like those live tweet or Instagram media walls. So when somebody's tweeted or live tweeted it, they can see it on the screen. But so what I'm thinking here is you've got the salon chairs all down this side with the mirrors, right? But behind there, so when the kids are mirrors, and they can actually see the reflection of the live screen behind, and it's going to tempt them, man. It's going to be like, well, hey, I want to get on that screen. I'm going to take an Instagram picture of me right now, plus I'm in the store. My picture's got a geolocation on it, geolocation tag, win-win. Plus, I'm tagging in the store. Happy bloody days.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's a great idea. I'll definitely put it across to the social team.
It's like this kind of stuff, you know. You've got to kind of. It doesn't have to be like necessarily going out there and like earning an actual link. It's also about that collective kind of marketing and just brainstorming and just creating some kind of thing. Students, hair, tweet, Instagram, boom, let's see how we can make this happen. And it's, you know, it's all about just getting a little bit creative. And you know, when you let those juices flow, you can find ideas. Now, I probably couldn't come up with ideas for an accountant. There are some, or like a ball-bearing industry, but you know, there are some markets which are quite terrible to work with. But hey, you know what? Just got to try it.
Yeah.
How about a lawyer, Tim? Do you reckon you come up with some ideas for a lawyer?
Big time, mate. Big time. That'd be like lawyer fishing, and it would be like you grab the lawyer and you drag him behind a speedboat in shark-infested waters, water skiing, right? And you stream it live, and then basically you can either save him or let him get eaten, kind of thing. And then that would be live tweeted, and we. Yeah, but definitely, mate. The guy might not live to tell the tale at the end of it, but yeah, sure, could build links for them, big time.
I was going to refer a new client to you, but maybe not.
No, in all seriousness, for something.
Oh, you're backing off now.
No, in all seriousness, something in terms of law, accountancy, something where is detailed in terms of profession, where it has to be on the cutting edge and it has to be accurate. I mean, those kind of professions, that's where I would say your content is going to be your winner, because if you can produce great content relevant to the particular day or to your particular what you specialize in, and if you can produce it, that is going to be your winner, rather than getting that kind of creative, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, for lawyers, you can use forums, no? You need to be careful not to solicit yourself too much. But there are all these customers, consumer forums out there. Yeah, you can utilize forums or social media where you'll help people with specific questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, I think that covers it for Pawan, and I hope you agree, Pawan. All right, let's move on to the next a question from Valentina Huff. Question 3 on your run list. Valentina asked a question titled Content Keywords section of Webmaster Tools, or as we know it now, the Google Search Console. Valentina said, does anyone have any strategies or guidance for the content keywords section of Webmaster Tool Search Console. Do you use this section in any way besides as a gauge of what Google thinks your site is about?
Well, I like Tony McCree's answer. It's quite a dumb metric in the Google console. I wouldn't put too much effort into it.
What I find it handy for is when you have a client who, you know, kind of gets the idea about how it's perceived. What I like to do is go and say, right, let's have a look at the keyword content, and I break it down and you pull it open. And when they see the little green line, like let's say their main product is an accountant, right? And it's like hovering on like a quarter. You say, well, this is how relevant you are, and they're like, oh. And then, like, I tell you what, your content starts coming. They start coming up with ideas really quickly.
Yeah, but you need to be careful that they are not stuffing.
No. I'm talking about creating content, not.
Yeah. But the metric.
How you're perceived online. Yes, we've got 5 pages, but now we need to start creating more relevant content around specific services, because you can see they don't exist in this like easy overview. I call it just a nice easy overview for the client, and because it's their search console, it's not like kind of report or pretty graph that you've created. It's their search console, and they're like, wow, and they can. That's how I use it. Put it that way. I use it as an easy way to get a client to look at their site and go, oh, okay, I see what you mean by kind of content and relevance. I mean, you know what I mean? So that's how I use it. I use it as a shock tool.
Yeah, that's more or less how I use it, with the explanation that basically their SEO campaign is aimed at Google, and this is a way of showing how Google sees their site. You know, if Tony said, yes, if your top term is Viagra and you're not selling Viagra, you're probably in the poo somewhere. Yeah, sorry, behave yourself. Yeah, as I say, I think the thing is, it's a nice, simple, easy to understand bit of data that you can wave in front of people with and say this is from Google. If you want to do anything more strategic than that, it's not the best place to go, as has already been said here. So yeah, yeah, nice, quick, easily understood view of what Google thinks of your site or your client's site.
Excellent, guys. I think Valentina will be very pleased with that. Again, I thank Siraj Gadagay and also Tony McCreek for answers on the SEO questions community through the week. Let's move on to the next. And this one is from Sam Ma. It's titled Questionable Backlinks, number 4 on your run list. Sam said, hello guys, I took over someone's SEO project. This SEO guy gathered some backlinks for the site. Some backlinks are questionable. Now, one of the sites displays this message. You don't have permission to access the requested directory. There is either no index document or the directory is read protected. I'm curious why Google is displaying this on the Search Console. Was this a bad link? Was this guy using a private blog network method? Any advice on this topic is greatly appreciated. Thanks all.
So I was a little bit curious where he found this, because that message is a standard message from a Apache server for 403. It ended up that he went to the links to his site, clicked on that link, and landed on that particular URL, which was protected or served at 403. So that it is probably an old link that's still being reported in the Google console. Normally that shouldn't be a problem, but if the whole domain is spammy, I would list the domain as in the disavow file.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't think it's really that of a big issue.
Yeah, true enough. All right, I'll tweet that one. Okay, so our next question, number 5 on your run list, guys. This is from the web development company Bhopal. Bhopal, wasn't that where Union Carbide had that huge human disaster? Right. Web development company Bhopal asked link exchange. Is it good or bad for SEO? Is this technique still working? Please help. I see Siraj Gadagay gave a great answer again on the community. He said one-line answer for this question is if you're doing this activity with an intention of building links, then yes, it is bad. We SEO folks need to understand that when it comes to link building, Google wants to see links that we've earned because we have something of good to offer, not because we're happy to take part in link exchanges. Hope this helps.
I was going to be slightly sarcastic about this, but I'm not going to be. It's something from the deep, dark, and slightly shady depths of SEO, and yes, it doesn't have any value associated with it. There's no value being added or hinted at by building these links, so forget it. And depending on what kind of link exchange you're doing, it may give effects from not a complete waste of time to getting Google upset. So I would stay away from it.
Yep, that's 2 on our panel saying yes, it's bad. I'm guessing it's going to be unanimous. No disagreement from anybody?
Well, unless it is your competitor, right?
All right, moving on to number 6 on our run list. This one, another one from Valentina Huff. It's titled Sitemap and the robots.txt file. Valentina said if we blocked a page from the robots.txt file of our website, for example, a thank you page that we do not want people to find unless they fill out a form, will we need to remove that page from our sitemap? Or will the sitemap be automatically updated to leave the page out?
Well, you certainly don't want it in there. And I guess the second part is Depending on what system you're using. You know, some systems may or may not do that. Some pages you can actually, depending on what you're using, you can specify not to include in Sitemap. Yeah, you certainly don't want it in your sitemap, and I guess it all depends on. I don't think it would be automatic, depending on what kind of platform you're using. So it's best to check your sitemap. If it's included, figure out how, or figure out how to remove that particular page from your sitemap.
Yep. Anybody else? All right. Let's move on to the next. I see Niraj Pandey has just joined us. Welcome, Niraj. Well, guys, we've done it again. We have answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community. And now we move on to our weekly news roundup. This is where we discuss topics of interest, which are posted on the SEO news community on Google+. You can post your own topics, providing it's not something directly related to your site, but as long as we don't get spammed, I think, isn't it, Edwin?
Yeah, I think.
Okay,
as long as it is good content,
yeah,
everything will do. Oh.
All right. This one is was a listing of skills on LinkedIn in 2015. Our good friend Lucas Regala from Poland, and Lucas picked it up because the fourth hottest skill for 2015, skills that can get you hired in 2016. The fourth one was search engine optimization and search engine marketing, which is good.
I just have a question. I'm from India and you guys are from different countries. So I wanted to understand, like, when it comes to training folks on SEO or internet marketing in general, do you see what kind of a training they provide? Because in our country, the kind of training that they provide is really not good. Because sometimes when the candidates come for an interview, and they say that they have done a certification in XYZ, and when we ask the question, they don't know anything. So any insights, like what kind of a training you guys see like being given to the candidates in your country?
Does anybody want to answer that for Suraj? Well, I will try, Suraj. There's been many attempts since last century to put together a governing body, and but the question is, has always been, who is going to call the shots? Because we're dealing with what is essentially a black art, because we're optimizing for a search engine, and we don't know. There's nothing that we can set in concrete and say this is going to occur. We can only say that this is likely to occur based on observations from the past. So it's a fairly amorphous industry that we're in, and so you know, a governing body or a set of standards is an impossibility. And it's the same with training of people. You know, the syllabus is set by somebody making a value judgment, and you know, they might be right, they might be wrong, but I think in what I've seen over the years is that you know, the right people gravitate to the top. Well, apart from Tim Capper, of course, he's on top now, and God knows how. Oh, you're the best, Tim. Okay. Anybody with anything to add to this?
I think that's a very astute observation, in that there are no qualifications as such. And so what you have to do is you have to look into people's skill sets. And it's not what people know that they can do specifically, but it's more about how they approach the problems and issues. It's about problem solving skills, if you like, or problem identifying skills. So what you're trying to find out from these people are essentially, are they flexible enough mentally to adjust to constantly changing situations? Can they ask the right questions? Do they have a good overview of what's happening? Can they place certain bits of information within the broader scheme of things? It's those kinds of skills that you're probably looking for, rather than whether someone can do X, Y, or Z. Obviously, there are elements of that. You know, you have coding skills, for example, that are either correct or incorrect, or even if not that, then perhaps the most efficient versus less efficient methods, and so on and so forth. So there are certain skill sets that are very specific and, in a sense, what would be the right word, that can be tested and then graded and marked. But what you're looking for, I think, in many cases, are strategists who can think and who can adapt to the situation. And that's very difficult to actually assess. You know, you can always give hypothetical questions, things like, name 20 uses of a teapot and things like that. But that's not necessarily going to weed out the people, So it's a tough one. So I think in most cases it is about track record. What have they done? How have they approached the issues? And how have they solved the issues that they have encountered?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But the problem is that applies to almost anything, right? It's not just in this particular industry. But I think it is stronger in this industry than in others.
Yeah.
Nobody else? Okay, let's move on to the next item of general business. This one was an article of Tim Capper's that I thought was very interesting. It's titled, "Does your site satisfy your consumer's intent?" Tim, I suppose you wrote the article. Maybe you'd like to tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is where, it's not just necessarily, I think what I was trying to, using some data freely available from Google, it was certainly worth looking at just who actually is purchasing things, and are you, as a company or a business, relying on demographics, and are those demographics letting you down in terms of who you're actually targeting? So, I mean, just one particular example is sort of 45% of all DIY searches on mobile is actually done by women. Now, you wouldn't necessarily think it. You would generally think DIY and male, and therefore a lot of your content and promotional stuff is targeted towards a male, where you're losing out on a massive potential chunk of providing content and answers and solutions to who's actually, you know, looking for a particular product. So it's about understanding who your actual customer is and tailoring your information to a particular consumer. The thing is, also creating that content is, you know, you can create content in terms of satisfying a specific need when a user is specifically searching for something, and those would be like I want to know kind of things, like I want to know how to change a light bulb, the car tire, sew a dress, you know, build a website, you know, things like this. I want to know if my ass looks big in this dress, kind of thing. And then it's also obviously satisfying that intent. So, like I said, satisfying the intent would be, right, they may have found how to do something, but because you created all your content around a male, are you turning off the female customer who found your content, but because of the way you presented it, have you turned that customer away from you purely because of your incorrect assessment of demographics? So yeah, I thought, you know, it was really interesting bits of statistics, and I just try to present it in a way that people could kind of understand it and understand how they may be missing a trick there, but also how to target specific content to a specific consumer at the right time that they want to do something. So whether they're, you know, I want to go somewhere because I want to buy a dress, but where can I buy that dress from? Not just, you know, it's more than just ranking my black dress for a black dress. It's where can I get this black dress from? Because a lot of things, especially now, and in my previous article about local businesses being local, more and more consumers, although they, you know, you might be ranking for a black dress, more and more consumers want to know where they can get it locally or where they can actually find it. In terms of an actual store, because I want to go and look at it and things like this. So there's a lot of info there about how you're presenting that content to the consumer, to which consumer, at what point of the sales process.
Cool, Tim. Any comments? Not the comments that are in the chat.
Now I have a question. So given now, I know that sometimes you need to understand the user intent. Now I work with a client who is into selling cosmetics online. Now they are very reluctant to create the content because when it comes to buying a cosmetic product, women do not search always like buy the product, but they sometimes want to know how to apply that product. Now given a scenario where my client is reluctant to add the content on website, now say I have a YouTube, right, and I found a video on the YouTube. Say if it's allowed for me to share under Creative Commons? And what if I create a YouTube channel and I just download that video and I optimize for the keyword? Can I rank my video, or will Google rank my video so that I can maybe get the traffic to my website, something like that?
Yeah, I think I understand. Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. Well, it looks like, I think, that's us for this week. Let me see. Yes, it's thank you for watching time. We had quite a few viewers watching tonight, and we thank you for that. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do it all again. Thanks very much.